के साथ है। हमने हर गरीब को पैसा इसके बैंक अकाउंट में ट्रांसफर किया है और ये दोनों पार्टियों ने ट्रांसफर पोस्टिंग के अंदर पैसा लेकर दिल्ली और सिंगापुर ट्रांसपोर्ट करने का काम किया है। मित्रों, एक और तो पीएफआई जैसे कट्टरवादी संगठन को बैन करने वाले नरेंद्र मोदी जी है और दूसरी ओर 1700 पीएफआई के कार्यकर्ताओं पर से केस वापिस लेने वाले सिद्धरामैया और कुमार स्वामी है। कर्नाटक की जनता ने तय करना है, कर्नाटक की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करनी है या नहीं करनी है। हजारों प्रवीणों को बचाने का काम हमने करना है या नहीं करना है, वो कर्नाटक की जनता ने काम तय करना है। मित्रों, एक और अयोध्या के अंदर राम मंदिर बनाने वाली पार्टी और उसके नेता नरेंद्र मोदी, जो अयोध्या के साथ साथ काशी विश्वनाथ वाले लोग हैं, इसके बीच में कर्नाटक की जनता को पसंद करना है। एक और डबल इंजन और डबल स्पीड से चलने वाली सरकार है और एक और सरकार को दिल्ली का एटीएम बनाने वाले कांग्रेस और जेडीएस की दावा है। मित्रों, इसके बीच में कर्नाटक की जनता को तय करना है कि किसके साथ। मित्रों, केंद्र सरकार और राज्य सरकार की इतनी उपलब्धियां हैं जिसको गिनाते गिनाते ही 6 महीने हो जाएगा। मेरे सभी बूथ के अध्यक्षों को करबद्ध निवेदन है कि आप राज्य स्तर पर, मंडल स्तर पर, शक्ति केंद्र स्तर पर, बूथ स्तर पर और पन्ना स्तर पर आपकी टोलियां गठित कर नरेंद्र मोदी जी का संदेश लेकर हर घर पे जाइए और प्रचार करने की शुरुआत करिए। मित्रों, मैं फिर से एक बार कहना चाहता हूं, जेडीएस और कांग्रेस एक ही सिक्के की दो पहलू हैं। हमेशा आपने जेडीएस को वोट दिया और कुमार स्वामी जी कांग्रेस की गोदी में बैठ गए। मैं आज कहने आया हूं कि एक बार भारतीय जनता पार्टी को पूर्ण बहुमत की सरकार दीजिए। 5 साल के अंदर ये परिवारवाद, ये भ्रष्टाचार और ये जातिवाद तीनों को भारतीय जनता पार्टी समाप्त कर कर्नाटक के अंदर इस देशभक्त सरकार देने का काम करेंगे। मित्रों, राज्य में अस्थिरता कभी विकास नहीं ला सकती। ये 33 सीटें लेकर ब्लैकमेल करने वाली पार्टियों को बहुत लंबा चलाने की जरूरत नहीं है। आज इस बार इनका हिसाब किताब बरोबर करने का मौका है। हर कार्यकर्ता तय कर ले कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी अपने दम पर इस बार सरकार बनाएगी और अपने दम पर सरकार चलाने का काम करेगी। माताओं, भाइयों, बहनों, मोदी जी ने बेंगलुरु के लिए बहुत कुछ किया है। मेट्रो रेलवे परियोजना चरण 1 अगर न होता तो आज बेंगलुरु के ट्रैफिक की स्थिति क्या होती, इसकी कल्पना ही नहीं कर सकते। 40 स्टेशन और 42 किलोमीटर लंबा रूट, जिसमें हर रोज 5.25 लाख लोग रोड की जगह मेट्रो से जा रहे हैं। अब मोदी जी ने चरण 2 भी शुरू किया है, जो 42 किलोमीटर के साथ साथ और 75 किलोमीटर मेट्रो को जोड़ेगा और इसके लिए जोर से ताली बजाना सब कार्यकर्ता। 30,000 करोड़ रुपया बेंगलुरु मेट्रो 2 के लिए
Well, that's Union Home Minister Amit Shah there setting the straight fight with the Congress party in Karnataka into the 2020 elections. He's saying that JDS is not in contest as a third angle in the triangle. Amit Shah there speaking about the achievements of the Karnataka government and wanting the cadres to really get headlong into the campaign mode. The union minister has been in Karnataka for the last 2 days and is back to New Delhi later in the evening. On that note, we have to take a short break. On the other side, Rishabh Pant recovering after accident could be airlifted to Delhi soon.
Yesterday, in this very place of the Sidra, this encounter took place. This is the truck in which those terrorists were travelling. This grass they were carrying in, and this is the kathua made. So it possibly suggests that they loaded this truck from the kathua area, and somewhat there only the terrorists transferred or shifted to this consignment. But they gathered and they entered this truck only somewhere near Kathua.
क्या वो पोस्टमार्टम जो कि एक आम इंसान की जाती है ये उस तरीके से नहीं की गई?
वही मेरे को दुख है। मैं इतना ही बोल सकता हूँ, 101 तक का वो मर्डर है। सच्चाई बताता तो मेरे को भी दबा के छोड़ देती थी।
Raid which has taken place in a place called Thonakil, which is about 20 kilometers away from the capital city of Thiruvananthapuram. This particular home of the former zonal president of PFI. His home was raided, Nawaz. Now this is the very home where the raid had just been concluded. About 56 locations in Kerala like these, the two-tier PFI workers, their homes are being raided.
Yesterday, in this very place of the Sidra, this encounter took place. This is the truck in which those terrorists were travelling. This grass they were carrying in, and this is the kathua made. So it possibly suggests that they loaded this truck from the kathua area, and somewhat there only the terrorists transferred or shifted to this consignment. But they gathered and they entered this truck only somewhere near Kathua.
क्या वो पोस्टमार्टम जो कि एक आम इंसान की जाती है ये उस तरीके से नहीं की गई?
वही मेरे को दुख है। मैं इतना ही बोल सकता हूँ, 101 तक का वो मर्डर है। सच्चाई बताता तो मेरे को भी दबा के छोड़ देती थी।
The new thing that the Chinese have done is that now they are buying Indian COVID vaccines on the black market. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll have you know that buying Indian COVID vaccines in China is illegal. But the problem is that the Chinese don't trust their own drugs. So there is an illegal trading of Indian vaccines which is happening on Chinese social media. Common Chinese don't have access to global social media. They're not there on Twitter or Facebook because all these are banned and blocked inside China. But on local Chinese social media platforms, they are trading Indian drugs.
Very good evening, friends. Let's look at all the stories that have happened through the day in a top wrap at this hour. Union Home Minister Amit Shah also spoke on India-China border issue and said that he is not worried about India-China border as the ITBP personnel are guarding there. He also asserted that no one can occupy even an inch of India's land.
ITBP सभी CAPFs में सबसे दुर्गम क्षेत्र में काम करने वाला हमारा सुरक्षा बल है। हम कल्पना ही नहीं कर सकते कि -42 डिग्री टेम्परेचर के अंदर देश की सीमाओं की सुरक्षा करना कितना दृढ़ मनोबल और उत्कृष्ट देशभक्ति होती है, तभी हो सकता है।
After Kamal Nath declared Rahul to be opposition's prime ministerial face for 2024, BJP hit out at the Congress leader, saying that the Bharat Jodo Yatra was nothing but a rebuilding image campaign by the Grand Old Party for Gandhi.
Has Mamata Banerjee ji, Nitish Kumar ji, Arvind Kejriwal ji, KCR ji, Mayawati ji, Akhilesh ji, Arvind Kejriwal ji, all of them endorsed this? Is this the reason why they are keeping away from the so-called Bharat Jodo Yatra? And today it's clear that this is not a Bharat Jodo Yatra. This is for Rahul Gandhi a Satta Jodo Yatra. It is not a Pad Yatra. It is a Padon ke liye Yatra, a Yatra for post. It is a Yatra for relaunch, repackaging of Rahul Gandhi for 2024.
Indian cricketer Rishabh Pant had a lucky escape yesterday when his car had a tragic accident. In a latest update, image of an X-ray report has made its way to the media where A ligament tear in his right knee is clearly visible. A team of Delhi and District Cricket Association visits Max Hospital in Dehradun to monitor Rishabh Pant's health. If required, they may shift him to Delhi. However, it is to be noted that Pant's health has improved significantly.
स्टेबल हैं और बहुत गंभीर इंजरी नहीं होना पाया गया है और एयरलिफ्ट की संभावना कम बताई जा रही है, संभावना नहीं है।
एयरलिफ्ट नहीं किया जाएगा
अब अभी तक तो मेरे को जानकारी है नहीं इसके संबंध में, लेकिन संभावना कम है मेरे ख्याल से।
सर डीडीसी की टीम भी यहाँ पहुँच रही है और क्या इसके बाद कहीं ले जाया जा सकता है, ऐसी कोई बात है?
अब वो देख रहे होंगे, देखो औपचारिकता जो भी होती है जैसे नहीं मेरे संज्ञान में नहीं है, मेरे संज्ञान में नहीं है।
स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से एयरलिफ्ट के लिए कुछ मांगा गया?
व्यवस्थाएं कल की गई थी इमरजेंसी कॉल पर, लेकिन मुझे लगता नहीं कि एयरलिफ्ट की जरूरत पड़ेगी शायद।
Actors Anupam Kher and Anil Kapoor reached Max Hospital in Dehradun to meet the family members of cricketer Rishabh Pant. Talking exclusively to Republic, Anupam Kher confirmed that Pant is now in a better condition.
बस उनकी तबीयत पूछी, उनकी माताजी से मिले और उनके लिए प्रार्थना की, सारे देश की प्रार्थनाएं उनके पास लेके गए और कपूर साहब और मैं एज फैंस गए थे। That's it.
ऋषभ बात कर रहे हैं, अच्छे से बेटर है सर?
मच बेटर, हाँ।
In a setback for actor Shah in Tunisia death case, his judicial custody has been extended for 14 days. Shah was arrested for allegedly abetting the suicide of his co-actor Tunisia Sharma. Karnataka Congress state in charge Randeep Surjewala hit out at Union Home Minister Amit Shah. This after latter had hit out at Siddaramaiah for releasing over 1,700 PFI cadres. Soon after Mamata Banerjee refused to go out upstage after Jai Shri Ram chants echoed in Vande Bharat launch event yesterday, the BJP has now hit out at the West Bengal Chief Minister and said that they are those people who left their religion for politics.
क्या वो पोस्टमार्टम जो कि काम इंसान की जाती है, ये उस तरीके से नहीं की गई?
वही मेरे को दुख है। मैं इतना ही बोल सकता हूँ, 101 तक का वो मर्डर है। सच्चाई बताता तो मेरे को भी दबा के छोड़ देती थी।
Raid which has taken place in a place called Thonekil, which is about 20 kilometers away from the capital city of Thiruvananthapuram. This particular home of the former zonal president of PFI. His home was raided, Nawaz. Now this is the very home where the raid had just been concluded. About 56 locations in Kerala like these, the two-tier PFI workers, their homes are being raided.
Yesterday, in this very place of the Sidra, this encounter took place. This is the truck in which those terrorists were traveling, this grass they were carrying in, and this is the Kathua made. So it possibly suggests that they loaded this truck from the Kathua area, and somewhat there only the terrorists transferred or shifted to this consignment. But they gathered and they entered this truck only somewhere near Kathua.
क्या वो पोस्टमार्टम जो कि काम इंसान की जाती है, ये उस तरीके से नहीं की
गई? वही मेरे को दुख है। मैं इतना ही बोल सकता हूँ, 101 तक का वो मर्डर है। सच्चाई बताता तो मेरे को भी दबा के छोड़ देती थी।
Raid which has taken place in a place called Thonekil, which is about 20 kilometers away from the capital city of Thiruvananthapuram. This particular home of the former zonal president of PFI. His home was raided, Nawaz. Now this is the very home.
Something new is happening in China. Something new that is the result of the battering China has taken in the recent wave of COVID. We all know that there are dead bodies piling up and the crematoriums are busy 24/7. We are given to believe that there is a lack of hospital beds and patients have to be treated while lying down on floors. All that is true. But it's also true that the Chinese have done something new for once. Hi, I'm Major Gauravari and you're watching Checkmate. new thing that the Chinese have done is that now they are buying Indian COVID vaccines on the black market. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll have you know that buying Indian COVID vaccines in China is illegal. You could be put in prison, you could be heavily fined or otherwise punished for buying Indian generic drugs. But the problem is that the Chinese don't trust their own drugs. China claims to have had over 3 billion vaccinations, which means that every Chinese was vaccinated at least twice. But that isn't helping the situation in China at all. As I told you, people are dying. And China is facing a really, really horrible time. So what does China do about it? What do the Chinese do about it? They go online, on Weibo, and they start asking for information on Indian drugs because the Chinese now trust Indian drugs more than they trust Chinese medicine. Here I have a little report which I'm going to read out to you. Topics like anti-COVID Indian generic drugs sold at 1,000 yuan, which is 144 USD per box. You know, these kind of messages have been trending on Chinese social media platform Weibo. With users exchanging messages and tips on how to get hold of these medicines. Now, let's talk about pricing first. Paxlovid, which is apparently a Chinese drug, is priced at 2,980 yuan per box. And a box of Indian-made drugs can be bought for 530 to 1,600 yuan only. So Indians are selling drugs more effective at almost 1/5 the price, and the Chinese can't seem to get enough. So there is an illegal trading of Indian vaccines which is happening on Chinese social media. The Chinese do not have, common Chinese don't have access to global social media. They're not there on Twitter or Facebook because all these are banned and blocked inside China. But on local Chinese social media platforms, they are trading Indian drugs. So somebody has drugs from India, somebody's been to India, somebody buys a couple of these injections and medicines, he goes to China and he sells it at a premium. The Chinese administer those drugs on themselves, hoping that they will use an Indian drug that is far more effective than the Chinese counterpart. This is one thing. Second news that we have regarding China is this, that the Americans are mulling over a new law or a new rule by which they can stop the Chinese from entering America because of something that I've been saying all along and the world has been saying all along. The Chinese are not transparent, and this is exactly what the Americans are saying. We don't know what's happening in China. We don't know what in God's name China is doing because China has been hiding figures. They've been fudging figures. China has been saying there are no deaths and suddenly it seems dead bodies are piling up. Chinese say there is no threat of COVID because we followed at one point in time a zero COVID policy. But today, entire Chinese cities are in a state of mayhem and chaos. The West does not know what to believe and what not to believe. And as a precautionary measure, they're mulling over the fact, should we stop passengers coming over from China into the United States of America? That's what the Americans are saying. And trust me, if America does this, many other countries will follow suit. On various social media platforms, I have been requesting the government of India to follow suit, or at least take the first step, if not follow suit, because I've been saying it for a long time now. Stop Indians from traveling to China and stop the Chinese from traveling to India. Otherwise, we don't know what we are in for. We don't have much exposure to this new strain of COVID, and we don't know what else will come out of China because there was a time during the third wave and the second wave where we saw lakhs of Indians dead. We saw a massive shortage of oxygen, of basic health facilities because the system crashed, the population of India being what it is. Even though the government says that they are fully prepared, and I believe them when they say that, but the fact of the matter is, if you do not know what the enemy looks like, or what capabilities the enemy has, it is very difficult to prepare against that enemy. So it's best if we stop all traffic from China for a while, to and fro. We should not allow Indians to go into China and Chinese to come into India for some time before we get a hang of the situation. Exactly what the Americans have been saying. Exactly what the Americans are saying now, that the Chinese will start traveling on the 8th of January. From the 8th of January, the Chinese are going to get their visas ready, their tickets ready, and they're going to fly to every country in the world as tourists. You know, they've been locked away for a very long time, and there is this new concept of revenge travel that is going around the world. It's almost like taking revenge. People want to travel because they've been cooped up inside their homes, and the Chinese are no different. They will want to travel, and with them they will carry the virus. This has to be stopped. Now for some news from Pakistan. In the 254th Corps Commanders Conference held at Rawalpindi, General Asim Munir and he made a couple of statements which are quoted by ISPR, the propaganda wing of Pakistan, not just the armed forces but of Pakistan as a nation. They said that without discrimination, the Pakistani army will fight against terrorism, which means that they will no longer discriminate between terrorists. They will no longer say that, this is a good terrorist and this is a bad terrorist and we will fight against all terrorists equally. Now, this sounds great. This sounds absolutely fantastic, but it's not true. It's a whole bunch of lies they're trying to feed the world because they've had a massive hammering from the FATF and the economic misfortunes of Pakistan, which are just getting bad to us with every single passing day. The foreign exchange reserves are crashing. They are at 6.1 billion. Their rupee is trading at 235 to a dollar. And everything that can go wrong is going wrong. Pakistan has been battered by floods and economically it's in a very, very precarious condition. Many experts feel that Pakistan has already defaulted. And that $6.1 billion, by the way, that I'm saying are the foreign exchange as of today, the reality is that 3 billion was given by Saudi Arabia and the rest has been given by China. And Saudi Arabia has been very specific, do not spend this money. This is just to shore up your foreign exchange reserves. This is not expenditure money. This is not for your expenditure, not for your daily needs. Effectively, Pakistan has almost zero foreign exchange reserves. That is the truth of Pakistan now. When General Asim Munir says that we will fight against all terrorists, it's very difficult for me as a former Indian Army officer to believe this statement. This is more of rhetoric, less of reality, and I will tell you why I say this. They might take action against the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan and assorted terror outfits that are operating against the Pakistani army and the Pakistani people. But most Pakistanis actually believe that what is happening in Kashmir, the terrorism in Kashmir is jihad. This is why there is a lot of support for Kashmir, because for the past 75 years, Kashmir was and remains the cornerstone of Pakistan's foreign policy and national security policy. They cannot look beyond Kashmir. They're extremely short-sighted that way, myopic even. So to say that they will act on all terrorists, I think there is a fine line and there is a difference. The difference is that they do not consider Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists. They consider them freedom fighters. There is a twist in the definition. And there is another reason they dare not take action on Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. They dare not. And why is that? This is because of one simple reason, that the Pakistani army and this entire strategy for the past 40 years in Kashmir has been based on terror outfits. It is a rare Pakistani army chief who took military action against Kashmir. There was, of course, this regular light and sound show along the line of control. Of course, there was a 1999 Kargil war. But apart from that, there has been absolutely nothing. And even Kargil was more to do with Siachen than to do with Kashmir. Kashmir was one of the aims, but Siachen was the main aim, to cut off Siachen Glacier. But the fact of the matter is, military action for benefit in Kashmir for the last 30-40 years is not something that the Pakistani army has contemplated. They've always used terrorists against India. And today, they cannot take action against a Hafiz Saeed or a Maulana Masood Azhar. The Pakistani public knows that if Hafiz Saeed is in jail, it's actually not a jail, it's a 5-star hotel. He has access to his family, he has access to the best food, the best medical care, the best security that Pakistani money can buy, however little that may be. The public of Pakistan, the people of Pakistan will not stand for mistreatment against their so-called national heroes like Hafiz Saeed and Maulana Masood Azhar. These were the people who put Burhan Wani posters on their trains. I'm talking about July 2016 when Burhan Wani was killed by the Indian Army in an encounter. It was Pakistan who raised him to the level of a national hero. They declared a holiday. They had postage stamps in his honor. They put his photographs on trains, and everywhere it was Burhan Wani all the way. So this is the mindset of Pakistan. Pakistan will not let go of this unique power that they have, or that they feel that they have in Kashmir. That is the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed, and to some extent, the Hizbul Mujahideen. There is another reason for it, and I'd like to take this opportunity to explain in detail why Pakistan will not do it. Ladies and gentlemen, the people who control the Pakistan army, the corps commanders and the army chief and various people in military operations and military intelligence, the ISI. When Hafiz Saeed and Maulana Masood Azhar were starting off their careers in terrorism, blessed by the Pakistan army, today's 3-star, 4-star generals of the Pakistan army were at one point in time captains and majors. It was at this point in time that the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed were picking up. It was at this time that Maulana Masood Azhar, later and slightly earlier, Hafiz Saeed was making a name for himself in Kashmir. They were sending terrorists in Kashmir from across the border. They were training young Kashmiris, gullible Kashmiris. They were asking them to come to Pakistan. They were giving them training, Dora-e-Am, Dora-e-Khas, a few weeks of weapon training, send them back, ask them to attack Indian army, ask them to attack politicians, locals, spread terror in Kashmir. The generals of the Pakistan army, their professional growth, their growing up, has been with the heads of the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed. The Lashkar and the Jaish are almost regiments of the Pakistan army. And I have it from a reliable source, though I cannot claim this thing to be true, and I do not vouch for this thing to be absolutely true. But I have journalist friends in Pakistan who tell me that people like Hafiz Saeed and people like Maulana Masood Azhar are very, very smart. They have audio recordings and video recordings of Pakistani army officers planning terror strikes along with them inside Kashmir. And some of those senior officers today are those very officers who 30 years back were sitting with Hafiz Saeed in a drawing room in Muridke planning the next strike in Kashmir. Today they are co-commanders. Today they are army chiefs or Director General of Military Operations and Military Intelligence. They have grown up together literally. Their professional growth has been simultaneous. Today, how can a Pakistani general take action against Hafiz Saeed? Hafiz Saeed has a plethora of information about them. And they say, these sources say, unconfirmed, let me state for the record, unconfirmed, but these sources tell me, and I have my people there who keep on telling me, they're journalists, they say that Major Saab, Hafiz Saeed and other people who are part of the terror network in Pakistan, they have this evidence against the Pakistan army, which they have placed in safe boxes outside Pakistan. So if tomorrow the Pakistani army comes under pressure from FATF, from the United Nations, from the Americans or from India, they don't end up killing Hafiz Saeed in a fake encounter. They don't end up decimating his organization. Which is why, ladies and gentlemen, even when Pakistan was under a huge amount of stress, FATF, during those times when it was on the grey list, and it lost almost $35 billion over a period of 4.5, 5 years, Pakistan did not give up. Lashkar-e-Taiba chief and the Hizbul Mujahideen chief, Pakistan did not give up these people. Pakistan owes forced loyalty to them. It owes loyalty to them, and it's forced. They're blackmailing each other. And this is what is happening. This is what my Pakistani sources tell me. So, General Asim Munir is saying that we will take action against all terror outfits. I think this is, absolutely fake. This is false. This is messaging to the domestic audience in Pakistan. People who are sick and tired of, being attacked by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. Of course, Pakistan will take some action against the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed, but that will be action like legal cases, court cases, like imprisoning a few leaders to show to the world that our judiciary is, taking cognizance of this and we are filing cases and we're doing the right thing as a democracy. But kinetic action, never. Kinetic action will be reserved for the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. Baloch people living in coastal areas, generally around Gwadar, like people living in coastal areas in India and other parts of the world, one of the primary occupations is fishing. And they've been doing it for hundreds of years, centuries old profession. They have these old boats in which they can go, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 kilometers inside, fish and come back. It's almost hand to mouth. It's almost subsistence. Now what happens is, suddenly the Pakistani government gives permission to Chinese trawlers to come and start fishing there, making money. The Pakistani government and the Pakistani army did not consider the welfare of the Baloch. Had this been in Punjab, it would have never happened. But then Baloch are not just second class, but rather third class citizens.
raid which has taken place in a place called Thonekil, which is about 20 kilometers away from the capital city of Thiruvananthapuram. This particular home of the former zonal president of PFI. His home was raided, Nawaz. Now this is the very home where the raid had just been concluded. About 56 locations in Kerala like these, the two-tier PFI workers, their homes are being raided.
Yesterday, in this very place of the Sidra, this encounter took place. This is the truck in which those terrorists were traveling. This grass they were carrying in, and this is the kathua made. So it possibly suggests that they loaded this truck from the kathua area, and somewhat there only the terrorists transferred or shifted to this consignment. But they gathered and they entered this truck only somewhere near Kathua.
क्या वो पोस्टमार्टम जो कि एक आम इंसान की जाती क्या ये उस तरीके से नहीं की गई?
नहीं की गई, वही मेरे को दुख है। मैं इतना ही बोल सकता हूँ, 101 तक का वो मर्डर है। सच्चाई बताता तो मेरे को भी दबा के छोड़ देती थी।
Raid which has taken place in a place called Thonekil, which is about 20 kilometers away from the capital city of Thiruvananthapuram. This particular home of the former zonal president of PFI. His home was raided, Nawaz. Now this is the very home where the raid had just been concluded. About 56 locations in Kerala like these, the two-tier PFI workers, their homes are being raided.
Yesterday, in this very place of the Sidra, this encounter took place. This is the truck in which those terrorists were traveling. This grass they were carrying in, and this is the kathua made.
Big companies in Pakistan are shutting down. You've all heard about how the Toyota, plant shut down, and other manufacturing plants. Actually, not manufacturing, ladies and gentlemen. Pakistanis call them manufacturing. Is actually assembly plants. Pakistan doesn't manufacture anything. These are assembly plants, and they import stuff from outside and they assemble and they sell. These cars inside Pakistan, which is why cars in Pakistan are so expensive. What has happened is that Nishat Chunia, one of the biggest textile manufacturers in Pakistan, Pakistan had at one point in time a very vibrant textile manufacturing base. Now this is all shut down, and there are 2-3 reasons. First of all, government policies, which don't help manufacturers of any kind. The electricity rates in Pakistan really going up, electricity becoming unaffordable for the common man and also for business houses. But the main thing is that the inability of the State Bank of Pakistan, to issue letters of credit. Now, where does Pakistan get raw material from? People need to be paid. People need to be paid in dollars. In different countries from where Pakistan imports raw material, Pakistan does not have so much of raw material on its own. And this is where the problem comes in now. Nishat Chunia, one of the biggest brands in Pakistan for textile manufacturing, has been temporarily shut down. And there are stories about other things happening in Pakistan where loads of companies, literally in their hundreds, are on the verge of shutting down, or they're talking to the government, pleading for some sort of relief. But there is no relief to be had. The core problem is lack of dollars. Pakistan is in no position to pay dollars to anyone. And moving from here to Balochistan, what is happening is, you must have heard about the news about how a policeman was shot dead. So there is this movement happening in Balochistan called the Haq Do Tehreek. Haq as in right, and Do, give us our rights. Haq Do Tehreek. And what has happened is that a lot of Baloch people have got together. They've literally shut down the national highway. They're not allowing the Chinese to leave. I believe some Chinese are stuck inside, but the Pakistani media is not very open about this. They're not very transparent about this. There is no regular media coverage. All the videos that you will find are not from mainstream media, generally from social media. There is a clampdown, and I'm given to understand that for the past 7 days, they have shut down mobile communication in certain parts of Balochistan, especially Gawadar. Now, what is happening there is, we've discussed this once before in Checkmate also, and I will say this again. The Chinese are grabbing Baloch resources, and the Baloch don't like it. Earlier, the Pakistani Punjabis were grabbing gas from the Sui gas fields, they have massive gas fields in Pakistan, and everything goes to Lahore. Homes in Lahore, homes in Karachi, homes in Islamabad are heated. But the Baloch, they still cook with firewood, and they have no heating in their homes because everything is taken mostly to Pakistani Punjab. Now, the problem here is, especially started off with the fishing community in Balochistan, especially in Gawadar. Baloch people living in coastal areas, generally around Gawadar, Like people living in coastal areas in India and other parts of the world, one of the primary occupations is fishing. And they've been doing it for hundreds of years, centuries old profession. They have these old boats in which they can go, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 kilometers inside, fish and come back. It's almost hand to mouth. It's almost subsistence. Now what happens is, suddenly the Pakistani government gives permission to Chinese trawlers to come and start fishing there, making money. The Pakistani government and the Pakistani army did not consider the welfare of the Baloch. Had this been in Punjab, it would have never happened. But then Baloch are not just second class, but rather third class citizens in their old so-called country called Pakistan. So what happened was they allowed these hundreds of Chinese fishing boats to come. Now these are big trawlers which the Chinese have in Balochistan. These are big, big trawlers that can stay days at sea. Big fishing boats with refrigeration in them. Big fishing boats which have radars and GPS and all the latest equipment. Fishing boats that can go fish in international water and come back to Pakistan. The Chinese trawlers have taken away all the fish and there is nothing for the Baloch, which is why the Baloch fishermen, this started off as a fishermen's protest. And this has snowballed into the Haq Do Tehreek, which is give us our rights. The movement for demanding of rights of the Baloch people. Now, the Baloch people obviously are suffering because of Pakistani army action. There are checkpoints everywhere. Baloch women are humiliated. The elderly are humiliated. Plus, even their daily bread is being taken away. Now, what has happened in Pakistan, and it's not happened today, it's been happening for some time, is that there is so much of pressure on the Baloch. There is so much of pressure by the largely Punjabi Pakistani army that the Baloch have now joined hands with the TTP. In fact, they did that in the early part of this year. But now it is coming to the fore where the Baloch separatists, the Baloch freedom fighters have joined hands with the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. Most of them have homes inside Afghanistan also. So what's happening is that the Baloch go, they attack and they melt away into Afghanistan or go back into the hills. Now these attacks that have been happening in Pakistan for the last 10-15 days, every day there is an attack, every day there is a killing. This is because of the partnership of the Baloch with the TTP. The TTP were anyway attacking the Pakistani armed forces. They were anyway killing. But the Baloch felt that they needed more firepower. The aims of both these organizations are different. The Baloch want an independent Balochistan and the TTP want the Sharia. But like they say in Hindi, Dost ka dushman, apna dushman. Your friend's enemy automatically becomes your enemy, and your enemy's enemy automatically becomes your friend. This has exactly what has happened in Balochistan. Now they're attacking Pakistani armed forces, they're killing Pakistani policemen, they're killing the levies, the frontier corps, and everybody who they think is possibly a collaborator who's sort of giving information, who's a traitor to the Baloch people. Those people are being silenced, they're being killed in Balochistan. It's really sad, the levels of violence, but then a people oppressed for too long, and here I'm talking about Baloch, not the TTP, the people who've been oppressed for so long. There will be a time, when they will lose patience and they will fight, and this will be a bloody war. It has been continuing, it's now spiraled out of control. There is nothing that the Pakistani army can do, except for giving press conferences, ISPR organized press conferences. There is very little that the Pakistani army can do because the entire area is up in arms. There are various think tanks who are saying that 2 provinces of Pakistan, or Pakistan has 4 provinces. It has Punjab, it has Sindh, Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And many experts are saying that 2 provinces are absolutely out of Pakistan's control. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is ruled by the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, and Balochistan, which is ruled by BAP, the Balochistan Awami Party, along with other parties also. So it's like a coalition government happening in Balochistan. It's absolutely out of control. The army says law and order is a local issue. The policemen there say that we cannot control it because these terrorists come from across the border. These freedom fighters come from Afghanistan. They're carrying with them rocket launchers. They're carrying with them grenades, AK-47, sniper rifles, the latest equipment. And, a lot of people made fun, a lot of Pakistanis made fun of the Americans when America left Afghanistan. They said, America ran away, America was afraid, and America left $85 billion worth of arms and ammunition in Afghanistan. And the Pakistanis were laughing, jeering, making fun of the Americans and saying that, oh, we have defeated the Americans. That was the Pakistani narrative, that it was the Pakistanis who had somehow, been very smart about it, been very cunning and defeated the Americans along with the Taliban. Now, those $85 billion worth of weapons are coming to bite Pakistan. They're using the latest thermal imaging. The terrorists are using the latest sniper rifles, the latest weapons that the American Marines and the infantry used. They're using everything in the American arsenal, and they're using those weapons to kill Pakistani citizens, including Pakistan Army. Pakistan Army has no answer. Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are going out of control. They're spiraling absolutely out of control. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I have for you this week. I hope you like this episode. I'm going to be back again with fresh news from around the world for you on Checkmate. Thank you for watching and have a great week.
Yesterday, in this very place of the Sidra, this encounter took place. This is the truck in which those terrorists were traveling, this grass they were carrying in, and this is the Kathua made. So it possibly suggests that they loaded this truck from the Kathua area, and somewhat there only the terrorists transferred or shifted to this consignment. But they gathered and they entered this truck only somewhere near Kathua.
क्या वो पोस्टमार्टम जो कि काम इंसान की जाती क्या ये उस तरीके से नहीं की गई?
नहीं की गई, वही मेरे को दुख है। मैं इतना ही बोल सकता हूँ, 101 तक का वो मर्डर है। सच्चाई बताता तो मेरे को भी दबा के छोड़ देती थी।
Raid which has taken place in a place called Thonekil, which is about 20 kilometers away from the capital city of Thiruvananthapuram. This particular home of the former zonal president of PFI. His home was raided, Nawaz. Now this is the very home where the raid had just been concluded. About 56 locations in Kerala like these, the two-tier PFI workers, their homes are being raided.
Yesterday, in this very place of the Sidra, this encounter took place. This is the truck in which those terrorists were traveling, this grass they were carrying in, and this is the Kathua made. So it possibly suggests that they loaded this truck from the Kathua area, and somewhat there only the terrorists transferred or shifted to this consignment. But they gathered and they entered this truck only somewhere near Kathua.
क्या वो पोस्टमार्टम जो कि काम इंसान की जाती क्या ये उस तरीके से नहीं की गई?
नहीं की गई, वही मेरे को दुख है। मैं इतना ही बोल सकता हूँ, 101 तक का वो मर्डर है। सच्चाई बताता तो मेरे को भी दबा के छोड़ देती थी।
Raid which has taken place in a place called Thonekil, which is about 20 kilometers away from the capital city of Thiruvananthapuram. This particular home of the former zonal president of PFI. His home was raided, Nawaz. Now this is the very home where the raid had just been concluded. About 56 locations in Kerala like these, the two-tier PFI.
So these are visuals coming in from Auckland, New Zealand, viewers. It's Welcome 2023. Yes, that's New Zealand time, but it's something to celebrate. The 2023 clocks in Auckland, New Zealand, and those are live visuals beaming in. You can see the iconic building in Auckland, New Zealand, where 2023 has already clocked in. In India, it's still 4:59 by my clock. Still 6+ hours to go. But in New Zealand, Auckland, viewers, it's 2023 and the visuals, and you can see the clock, 47, 48, 44, 43, 42. So that's the back clock, and that's the skyline of Auckland, New Zealand, viewers, how it welcomes 2023.